Thank you everyone for joining in today's session. And I hope that this session will be fruitful and worth your while. So today, before we get started, this is a quick intro on me. I'm Aharna Haq. I'm the developer advocate at Rona HQ. And I mostly spend my time building a lot of agents, building a lot of automations that helps me ease my work, and also try to find business problems that my colleagues are facing, where automation can really help streamline their lot of workload, right? So that's how my days look like. And also I build a lot of content from writing blogs, articles, writing tutorials, creating demos, and all of that. So yeah, make sure to check all of those things out. It's available on our website and blogs and on our YouTube channel. You can also see past workshop recordings in case you want to refer to any of those while you're building agent on Rona HQ platform. Great. I have shared a sign up link and studio link in the description and chat. So make sure that you sign up on the platform. We have a pay as you go model, but for anyone who's just signing up, we have first $5 free, so it gets you around 2,500 credits approx, and this really goes a long way if you're exploring some agent workflows. So make sure you do sign up and just explore our agentic platform. And in case you've built any agents, do let me know. I'll be super happy to showcase any of the agents that you've built so far, and we can do a quick show and tell. Okay. Also, like before diving into a lot of slides that I have in store for you, if my pace is too fast, you can just let me know in the chat and I will slow down my pace. If it perfectly matches yours, that's awesome. I'm hoping that in this workshop, since this is a workshop, I'm hoping that everyone here would be doing a follow along with me. So I'll keep my pace according to that. But in case you just want to see how everything works out, just get a vibe of this, that's also completely fine. Yeah, and you can just start building agents after that. Great. So just a quick minute. All right. So today, if you have already followed up with our emails and our newsletters, you might already be knowing that we will be doing a agent building session on vendor onboarding. Now, this is a critical problem because it's a very important step, right? Because you're onboarding third parties into your organization, into your institution, and it really requires meticulous attention to detail and a lot of time also to go through all of that process, which involves a lot of manual onboarding, a lot of checking details, tax IDs, checking insurance certificates, their expiry dates, and all of that. A lot of email based documentation also happens in our inbox. And now, since all of these are in a fragmented manual process, they are very error prone and can lead to inconsistent outputs. And most error prone area is especially when the compliance check we run at a compliance risk. They really can cost us heavy and can lead to legal issues, right? Okay, so just give me a quick second. So let's understand. The whole vendor onboarding process starts with vendor discovery or sourcing from different websites, and after that comes the vendor registration and document submission, which is the actual part we are going to focus on today, because a lot of manual labor goes into there, into filling out all of the details one by one, into checking all of those validation, those approvals. They take a lot of time. An approx time required for a vendor onboarding is about 1 to 2 weeks. Now, this can really be streamlined and compressed into a shorter time horizon, so that the teams can focus on the business logic that really matters instead of repetitive manual work. And these are some kind of problems that we are going to address today. Right now, a lot of these steps are kind of fragmented into various ERPs, into Excel sheets, into emails, right? Vendor onboarding portals for mature organizations. Now, vendor evaluation and due diligence are need to be the topmost priority and a topmost attention to detail, because a lot of teams are also involved in this case, right? So there's procurement team, there's finance team, there's compliance or legal team as well involved. And we need to do some manual checks like financial stability of the vendor, past performance, whether pricing, there's competitive pricing, there's a lot of site visits also in the manufacturing vendors. But for today's agent, we are going to kind of skip on the obviously physical site visits. We are just going to focus on the software parts of things and where it can be easily streamlined. And we are just going to address the low hanging fruits for demo purpose. But this agent can get as detailed, as complex and layered as any of the real systems are. Right? Great. Perfect. So what is now that we have identified different problems in the vendor onboarding process, let's also understand what could be a potential solution to that. So a potential solution would be an AI powered onboarding agent, right? Where the agent validates different documents from the vendors, does a risk scoring, and sends automated approvals, and finally does the real time status tracking. Now, these are some high level view of the whole process, but it really gets more detailed, more complicated as you go more deeper into the building. Great. So this is how the whole business process kind of looks like overall, right? So we will kind of break this down by a demo scenario where we will be onboarding a new user, a new vendor, and the overall process is also very simple in the high level, which is basically the vendor submitting the documents, the AI extracting the important details and parsing all of the key words, and finally doing a risk score based on various certifications, validity, competency check, compliance, and legal check. And finally, depending on the risk score, the vendors are either auto approved or sent for a human in loop to the managers, or auto rejected. And this is how the architecture overview of the agent that we are going to build today looks like. So at first, we have the conversational interface where we have the team, where our team or the vendor can actually get onboarded, right? So the point of view of this agent would be that a team from the organization will be onboarding the vendor and sending all of the vendor details. Next is the orchestration of the business logic and the workflow coordination between different fragmented tools and steps. Finally, the documents that have been submitted by the vendor or the team, the AI will be extracting all of the key details and process all of that data. And finally, in the data layer, the processed data will be stored. The risk score will be stored, and all of the approvals, when it's approved, will be updated with the status. And finally, once everything, all the checks are complete, when everything looks fine, then the vendor can be sent for auto approval for onboarding. This is how overall the agent structure would look like. And let's understand what kind of details kind of comes under the intelligent document processing, right? So our agent will be using a file parser and file extraction system to kind of extract all of the details. Now there could be insurance claim certificates, there could be different other, license certificates, compliance documents. Now the agent will be going through all of that for us and extracting all of the registration certificates, tax IDs, ABN numbers, to check the vendor, kind of compare the vendor documents for consistency, check all of the bank details that the vendor has, and the expiry dates as well, so that the vendor is well within the compliance of the organization, and ensuring that the collaboration doesn't lead to potential future errors or legal issues. Great. Okay. Uh, So let me take a quick second to ask everyone whether everyone here who's doing like a follow along has signed up and are ready to begin with the process. Okay, I think we are good to get started. Also make sure that if you have any idea, if you want to build any agent around your business workflows, do let me know. Do drop it in the comments and the chat section, so that I can maybe pick it up, we can brainstorm it together and come up with good solutions for it. We have more than 100 plus third party tools and 5,000 tools overall. So there's a lot of tools that you can explore from. We have all of the real systems that business actually use, so you can actually check out our platform. And if I could just give a quick glance of how it looks like. So this is our admin console where all of our agents are housed. So you can see that I have built quite a few agents so far. And yeah, and at the top we also have Artisan, which is our intelligent AI co-pilot. So from here you basically can vibe code your agents. You just describe how your agent is supposed to work, all of the steps in quick one line, and then the Artisan gets ready to generate like the BDR after asking you a few questions of which tools are you going to use, how the structure is going to look like, how the validations are going to work for your agent. And then after you have mentioned all of that details along with the tools that are going to be used at every step, it automatically connects all of the tools, writes the instruction for you, and almost 80% of the work is already done while you're building the agent. So it really again fast tracks the whole agent building process as well. So tools, capabilities, and models are not the final rock here. The only thing is how you design your agent. So one tip from me would be to invest as much time as you can for designing robust system, because for any agent the instruction really makes the difference. The vague your instructions are, the more ambiguous and undesired results you will get, but the more concrete and strong your instructions are, the better your outputs will be. Great. We also have like a few ideas that you can just work around. So you can just start with like a lead follow-up agent, invoice processing agent, as you will. And we also have built a bundle of templates that you can explore from. Yeah. So let's get started with today's agent, which is for the vendor onboarding. So once you've signed up, you will be granted $5 worth of credits, which kind of approximately comes to 2,500 credits. And once you're till that stage, you can just click on Add Agent. Add Agent from here, which is going to open a new tab for you and give you a blank canvas to work your agent with. Great. So this is how the blank canvas kind of looks like. And Let me quickly rename my agent. So this would be Vendor. And you can choose your icon from here. Okay, just let's go with this one. All right. And click on update. So this updates my agent icon and everything. And from here, you can choose your model. Right now, I'm going to stick with OpenAI itself, but you can go ahead and choose Google or Anthropic. And here, you can also see the amount of credit consumption that goes into each calls. Apart from that, you can also check the credit usage right here and context window of how much token. So I hope you're already familiar with the concept of context window. But in case you're not, just drop that in the comment or section, and I'll be happy to explain what context window actually is. And apart from that, whenever you're choosing a model, depending on the agent and the capabilities you want in the agent, you can also check out the configuration. So, for example, in the GPT-4o, thinking is not supported, but if I go to, let's say, Google Gemini and Pro, you can see the thinking is supported. So you can just pick and choose whichever model kind of suits your agent best. Oh, so for right now, I'm going to stick with OpenAI. Yeah, okay. This looks good. You can also go with the latest, but I'll just stick with this one. Okay, since this is selected, I'll just keep it like that. Um, Next, what we're going to do is, I hope that you've received the link for the guide as well in the chat section or in the description. So I'll just quickly show you what's in our guide. Now, we have created this guide for you all because every time we build an agent, we have to give it a lot of instructions, a lot of, say, tools, we have to select all of that. So we have created a comprehensive guide from where you can reference. So if you just click on the guide, you will be able to see the first link to sign up. And once you've signed up, you can launch the builder. And next is, we have also kind of bundled some core concepts. So let me quickly do a run through of what these concepts are. I'm pretty sure that everyone here already knows what these concepts are. Pretty self-explanatory as well. So first we have the instruction, which acts as a system prompt or the guidelines for the agent. This defines and describes what your agent is, defines the purpose, the goal of the agent, the steps it is going to take to carry out task, right? You can also set some guidelines right here as well. So this is how overall the instructions are, and this is the most important part, right? If not all of the others. Next is, we have tools. So like humans have hands to perform a particular task, let's say writing. Tools are also the capabilities that you equip your agents with. And tools can have anything between like the third party tools to internal connectors of databases and APIs that you might already be using or your companies might already be using. Next, you also have the inbuilt skills. So there's different kinds of inbuilt skills that we are going to take a look at today, later in the workshop. These all come together as tools, kind of helps you to achieve all of that task. Third is the knowledge base. Now, knowledge base are the static external files that your enterprises or that you might already have. This kind of becomes really important and evident in especially the RAG agents or retrieval augmented generation agents, right? So the documents can be like as large as 100 and 1,000 pages, and as a human it's not entirely possible to go through them every time at a very quick pace. So for that, you kind of build the agent so that your agents can refer all of these static files. So whenever you generate a prompt, it dives into those relevant context and information and data, and grounds agents response into facts, and gives you like all of those output. Fourth is the guardrails. Now, guardrails really becomes important as your agents scale. right? So as your agent scale, let's say you have a customer support agent. Now you wouldn't want that agent to answer queries of which is your favorite football player or what are your political alignments, right? So guardrails kind of puts the agent on a track so that it doesn't derail and answer frivolous queries as such. Fifth are the triggers. Now, triggers basically kind of are very self-explanatory as well. So for any agent, the agent can get triggered whenever we send a prompt, let's say through a chat, or it can get triggered when you receive a new Gmail, or when a new row gets added in the Google Sheet, or when you create a new ticket on Zendesk. So in any which way, we have a vast library of different triggers that you can use. There's also webhook trigger, there's a scheduler trigger, WhatsApp trigger. There's a lot of different triggers that you can choose from while building your agent. And finally is the LLM. Now, LLM is acts as the brain of the agent. It equips the agent with the thinking capabilities and all of the wisdom that it needs to carry out any of the task. Great. Now this is a quick step-by-step build, and here you can check the agent. This is a quick description of what agent we are going to build today. And finally, I have jotted down all of the instruction that you would be needing to build this agent. Now, this is the instruction I have just quickly whipped up on ChatGPT. You can use any of the existing Gen AI LLMs, and you can just quickly, whip up your own instructions if in case you're willing to explore any other agents. But for now, you can use this one so that you don't have to, go ahead and write all of your steps right now. Okay. Next, I have also listed a few tools that we are going to be using today. And these are also some of the prompts that we will be using to test our agent. You can also come up with your own prompts. That's also completely fine. Don't think that this is predetermined and if we give X, then only it gives a perfect output. It's not like that. But just make sure that when you're testing your agent, put the correct GST so that it does not return a null or an invalid value. And make sure to attach a quick insurance certificate, and then your responses are good to go. Perfect. So this was a quick overview of what things we need to build our agent today. All right. Great. Now let's head back. So from the guide, I am going to quickly copy paste my instruction and paste it right over here. Oh, sorry. Okay, this is the instruction. This is how it looks like. Now, I actually like to use Markdown when I am writing my agent instruction, because I'll show you. So when we do a quick preview, you will be able to see this hierarchy that is being maintained throughout. This also gives clarity on the headings and the subheadings for as a human to understand, and also for the agents. So the agents essentially also understand Markdown. So make sure you use that capability. Great. So I'll just quickly explain also how this agent is. Let me actually explain this with. Okay. Yeah. So as you can see, I've defined the role of the agent, which is the vendor onboarding. And next, I've set some guardrails. I didn't attach guardrails separately here because, since we are doing a demo, but in case you need this to scale, you definitely need to add guardrails, input policy and output policy. And you can write all of that by visiting our documentation as well. Next, we have defined a trigger. So essentially here we are going to use a different trigger as well as the playground. So for the demo purpose, I've just kept 2 as an option. But if you want to explore further triggers, you can just do that by going in the trigger section and clicking on add trigger. And we have some inbuilt triggers as well as a good library of ready triggers. So as you can see all of the ready triggers. So yeah, you can choose any of these triggers according to your agent. I'm just gonna head right back and continue explaining further the agent instruction. So let me quickly take you through the steps, right? So you can send in your vendor details via the playground, or you can do that when you receive vendor emails loaded with all of the vendor details like insurance, all of the IDs, tax checks, and all of that in your email, right? And mostly it kind of happens also like through email. So the traditional approach is that the vendors kind of send all of their details, their bank details, their tax IDs, ABN numbers, different compliance policy, and all of that via email. And then the person from the institution or the organization, the team kind of rises up to the occasion and goes through all of that, does a lot of manual checking for if the GST numbers are correct, if in fact the trade names are matches with the vendor details that they have sent, whether the bank account ID is working, whether the compliance of the vendors and the organization matches, so that they can go on to a potential collaboration. So this kind of comes under the very much of a manual labor, but right now we are building an agent to completely streamline all of that process and only be involved when it is critical. Okay. So once we receive the vendor details via chat or via email, the agent is going to ingest that data, do a structured file extraction. Okay, doing all of the fetching all of these details. Now, for the demo purpose, I have kept it as lightweight as possible so that this agent can be wrapped up under 60 minutes or in the next 30 minutes. But in real life, there's a lot of details that you would need to extract from the documents that you receive to do a cross checks with various APIs, whether there's valid, whether they are within the expiry date, and all of that. So this 5 can really become 50 in no time. Okay. And yeah, if any documents are missing, obviously that's kind of a red flag for the vendor. So we do keep a lookout for that. Next is a quick duplicate check. Let's say we already had a vendor a long time back and we haven't been in touch recently, and now finally we are again planning to, do like engage with that vendor. If you do want to like update the instructions and like the vendor data, that you can do via like re-onboarding, or otherwise you can just it can happen manually, but right now in the agent I have integrated that system so that it can happen automatically, as well as you can get notified that okay, this vendor has again sent the details, so you need to take a look. All right. Number 3 would be to validate all of the core details. So all of the details that we receive, let's say the tax ID, the GST number, the email ID, the trade name, the insurance certificate, whether they are legit, whether they are within the expiry date, all of that. So they need to be cross-checked, extracted, and validated. And if there is any mismatch, again, a red flag I would say. And number 4 would be the insurance check. Now, insurance really becomes important because without insurance, things can really get risky for the institution or organization. They are kind of getting involved in the whole process. So a good workaround to that would be, if the expiry is more than like 15 days, you would like to continue. Or this can actually also vary with the organization. I've just kept 15 days for my convenience. Next, if it is less than 15 days, if it is really coming close, then you pause onboarding and notify the user to renew the certificate and then kind of continue, or apply for renewal at least. And finally, if it is expired, then it's a red flag and you should like stop onboarding and request for a renewed certificate. And only once you receive that can you like continue in the whole process. Fifth is the compliance check all of the compliance documents that you need. Now, this can be done via the knowledge base. Uh, like the companies that and the enterprises that get involved with vendors already have a long list of compliance checks that they need to perform so that they can avoid and prevent any legal issues in the future. Now the agent kind of goes through all of that compliance and legal policy documents and matches with the vendor so that the vendor is well within the yards of the compliance policy. And once that is done, if anything mandatory is missing, then it raises a critical alert. If it is not, then it kind of continues. And for any missing documents, compliance gaps, or validation errors, the agent always adapts to the process and raises the query, right? Because any agent failing to do that can really cost us heavy. And these are all of the error prone zones where a single human error can really cost the institution heavily. Okay. And finally, when all of that is done, we do a quick risk scoring where we, based on these parameters, we score the vendor. And if the risk levels are low, then only we proceed with auto approvals. And if the risk level is medium, then we definitely raise an alert to the internal team. And in case there's any missing documents, we wait for the vendor to submit all of that documents. In case there's not, we still like keep a lookout. And in case there's like high risk levels, missing documents, mismatch, expired insurance, no BIS documents, then we stop onboarding and again raise the alert that we have stopped onboarding because the risk is too high with this vendor. So do a quick check before you get involved further. And finally, this is obviously the decision logic, which I just explained. And if you have already auto approved or auto disapproved also, all of the information gets stored in the Google Sheet. All of these fields that goes into the Google Sheet. And finally, there's the output summary. And let's say your team is on Slack. At least my office teams are on Slack, so that's why I've used Slack in this case. But in case you are using any other platform, if you're using Microsoft Teams, you can also incorporate that. We have a very vast list of tools that you can choose from. So yeah, you're with your way. And finally, we have some edge case handling that obviously any good agent definitely needs to have. And some system rules is that maintain across retries and retry fail tool call once. We don't want failed tool calls to be called 25 times, because with building AI agents, there is also a concern that there's a lot of credit consumption that goes into the agent, right? And too much of credit consumption in a single conversation can really drain your finances, right? So we definitely also need to keep a check on that. Okay. So I already have kind of built an agent on this while I was just playing around with the agent. Let me quickly show you what I have. Okay, so this is how my agent looks like. And these are the tools that need to be connected with the agent. And finally, this is how also the output looks like. Okay, so once we send in the request and all of that, we do the vendor onboarding summary. We get all of the details, whether the GST is active, when is the insurance expiry date, and all of that. And finally, we assess the risk. So this vendor particularly was too good, not really any risk. All of the compliance really matched with ours. There was no critical risks and alerts that needed. And finally, all of these alerts went to Slack. So if I have to show you the Slack as well. One moment. So as you can see, these were the detailed summary of the vendor, and these were the risk assessment. This was a really nice vendor, okay. And after we approved, the vendor got onboarded, fully onboarded, and we could see the details right over here. So I just tested this agent once with a happy path, and this is how the it looks like. Now I've used Google Sheets obviously for convenience and so that I can share this database with you. uh, but obviously, like, if you already have your internal databases connected for vendor onboarding, if you have all of that database already, then I would definitely suggest you to kind of plug into those databases and check it for yourself. Great. All right. So this is how basically the vendor onboarding agent looks like overall. Now, next, what we are going to do is we are going to add tools. So to add if you already have used Drona HQ platform before, then you might already know that we have like a lot of databases and APIs that you can explore from. So we have the connected library right here for all of that. But at first, we are going to connect the ready third-party tools. And for that, I'm going to connect, let's say, Gmail so that I can receive all of the vendor details. So I'm going to select fetch email and then get Gmail attachment, and then reply to email thread. Let me just find it. Yeah, got it. Okay, these three tools from the Gmail. And so as you can see, like, this platform is super easy to use. If you already have the agent design in your mind, it barely takes like 15 minutes to whip all of this up. So in this workshop, I probably have talked and explained a lot of slides for at least 30 to 35 minutes. And finally, we are building the agent. And as you can see, this is very quick. So you do not need to go into very complex coding. You don't need to like check for different states between the agent components. You don't need to do all of that. You just quickly whip up the instruction using ChatGPT or Gemini or Anthropic. You connect your tools that you already might be using, and that's it. You will have your agent. If you want to build drag agents, you just connect knowledge base right over here. If you want to build agents that has memory, both maybe long term, short term, or each or any, then you can also connect all of that. So we have memory right over here. You have the knowledge base option to add knowledge bases right from here. So we have all of these available. And the most important thing is without like coding at all, with no code platform, building such an agent and scaling it to a very enterprise level is the, I would say, biggest pro of this platform. uh, so you can really build agents that work in the real world, right? The real workflows. Okay, so let's select our next tools, which is our database. In case this, in this case, obviously is Google Sheet. So I'm just gonna select that. And in Google Sheet, I'm going to select batch get spreadsheet so that it can refer whether the vendor already exists or not. And then append values so that it can add values, and finally also update spreadsheet values for existing vendors. Okay. We have add Gmail so that we can send email to the vendors in case we are receiving it via email, or we can just receive it at the start as our trigger. Okay. Next is what we are going to use is also Slack. Uh, so for Slack, we have we send message somewhere here. One sec. Since there's a lot of tools, it gets really. Give me a moment. So yeah, okay, send message. Yeah. So send message. Finally, I'm just connecting one API to check the validity for GST, but you can attach any other APIs for checking the ABN number in case you're in Australia and you have a business there. You can connect cash free in case you have PAN for Indian SMBs. If you have any other, like, there's always APIs available. If you have a paid version, then well and good. I tried the free tier because of course this is for the demo and not for the real agent that scale. So yeah, let me quickly add that as well. I'll also show you how you can connect that. So GST. Yeah. Okay. So from here, I'll just add check GST. So I'll just give a quick overview of what GST is. So GST basically is the ID of any business, and this is like the tax ID, right? So I just have used a free API that was available on the internet, got my API keys, connected the API right over here. So in the connector section, um, in the connector section, add connector. So let it load. Just let it load. Okay. In the connector section, you can just click on create, and in the connector, you will be seeing API, and you can just click on REST APIs. And from here, just go ahead and connect the API. So this is how my check GST API looks like. And if I show you, um, so you put in the URL right over here, and when you give it dynamic API key and GSTIN number, so it gives two path parameters. One is the API key, which is of course not dynamic. So I'm just going to, uh, you know, switch off the toggle button right over here. And since the GST numbers will be dynamic, so I'm just going to keep this toggle on. And that's it. And once you're done, you can just test your API and save. Okay. So yeah, that was a quick 2-second demo on how you can connect your APIs. And let's get back. Next you need is, one sec, let me check what we are missing. So file parser and file extraction. So we in total need 6 tools, which you can also check on the guide which tools we need. So file parser and file parser and file extension are an inbuilt skills. So as you can see, we have quite a few inbuilt skills. So we have web search, Google search, calculator. I would also do like a time file parser and then file extraction. Okay. So I'm going to add these 3 tools. Now, obviously, inbuilt skills do not need account connected, but for Gmail and other third-party tools, you definitely need to connect your own account. So to do that, you can just click on add, edit, and add your account from here. Since I already have my account, so I'm going to select that. Or Google Sheets as well. In the similar way, we are going to add that account. So great. And finally, for Slack as well, we are going to connect our account. Now, a quick note here is when you're selecting tools, we have a lot of toolkits which adds up to, I think, 5,000 plus tools. So make sure that you add the only ones that are necessary for your agent, because you also have to understand that every agent kind of runs on credit, and there's obviously a limit to the credit, and we would obviously want to use those credits wisely. So it is important to ensure that we do not overburden our agents with abstract tools, so that in case we also have vague instructions, our agent do not use the wrong set of tools and get us wrong results, right? So make sure that you use the only tools that are required. Perfect. We have added our tools. Our instructions are also in place. We understood what triggers are, what are the different sets of triggers. I will also show you one quick thing that I like, which is the chat interface, which is customizable. So you can obviously change those icons, the text, the heading, the suggested message, and everything. But we are going to skip all that and allow file upload here and enable rich UI. Now, rich UI responses basically means your responses will look far better than it does. Like instead of just, some couple of messages, it can come in, it can enable your Gen UI widgets. So in case you do not know that, I'll just quickly show you after this. It can be generated into data sets, into bar graphs, charts, all of that, the visual representation, so that your information is more graspable and understandable. You can also explore widgets. So make sure if you're exploring widgets and you want to have you want to add widgets in your agent response, you also need to kind of enable the rich UI to have that response. Okay, great, perfect. Next, what we are going to do is I think we have saved and published. Let me do a quick second check. So once you've selected all this, you also need to save and publish. Let me also change one of this. Get started. And publish. And now our agent looks more like it. Okay. Now let's test our agent. So to test our agent, I'll just head back to the guide, where I have also jotted down all of the prompts that you can use to test the agent. So I hope that this workshop kind of makes it obvious how easy it is to use our platform. Really, it's no headache at all. Okay, so let's go with this one, Ambuja Cement. Okay, let me do a quick copy from here. And I'll just paste my prompt right over here. And also, since I've downloaded the image previously, so for vendor onboarding, these are a few details. You can also upload a check instead of the bank details, the account number and stuff. So, and this is the GST number, and yeah, the insurance certificate is also attached. So I just attach the insurance certificate. Give me a quick second. has been downloaded. One second, I'm unable to select. Yeah, okay, now it's better. Yeah, okay. So all my informations are there. This is how I can also upload the file. We enabled this option from the chat interface. And yeah, let's see our agent response. Let's just open this up for better view. Okay. Coding, vendor name, da da da. Okay, cool. So you can see that the agent is thinking. So it is using quite a few tools at first to extract all of the details. Uh-oh. Okay. Yeah, it worked in the second go. Great. So can you see like how the UI has completely changed? If I had to show you some UI of any of the other agents that I've built previously and how the UI looks like, you'll be able to see a major difference. Okay. So okay. Yeah. So this is one of the agent that I built previously where the rich UI response was not enabled. Now these kind of small details can really create a big difference. So if I show you, yeah, so this is how previously the responses used to look like. And if you enable the rich UI response, this is how it would look like. Right? So there's obviously major change in the UI, in the process of how it looks like. Great. Now let's understand. So once we have sent the prompt, it called a few it did a few tool calls. It extracted all of the file information, checked the database for duplicate vendors, whether this vendor already existed in the database or not. And finally, once it has extracted the details, it also checked whether the tax ID in this case, which is the GST, is valid and active or not, and also checked the trade name so that it matches with the vendor and various other elements in that. And also checked the insurance certificate validity. So the insurance certificate is valid until 6th May 2027, which is still like a year. So this is good to go. The duplicate checks not found, compliance checks. the vendor is compliant with the GST requirements, and no mandatory compliance issues are detected. Okay. Finally, the risk score is low, and the onboarding recommendation is approved. All right, now let's try with someone who already has expired to check now that we have tested the happy path, let's check the edge case as well. Okay. Okay. So I will hit send. I hope that I do not run out of credits. Okay, this the wrong spelling. Oops. Great. Now I can hit send. And you'll be able to see all of the tool calls being made, the vendor going under compliance check, the GST requirements, and matching them with the institution. Yeah, so as you can see, it's sharing the thoughts. Okay. Uh, okay. So see, basically what happened is, I think I ran out of API credits. Yep, I did. So yeah, apart from that, you can see that we already had this Reliance vendor on our sheet. So if I had to show that, um, okay. So you can see this was already on sheet. That's why it stopped the vendor onboarding. In case you want to run it via any other tax IDs, that's also completely possible. Just make sure that you find some API credits that has API keys that has a good credit number of credits, so that you can use it and experiment with it. So I hope that so far you have been able to build the agent along with me. In case you have any doubts, do let me know in the chat, or you can straight send them to me at aharna@thereadronahu.com, and I will get back to you instantly. And apart from that, make sure that you do sign up and continue building this agent. And if you have built any agents on Drona HQ platform, this is not a small feat. This is something that definitely you need to share with the community. And the community will be thrilled to have a new builder on board and see some real progress. So I hope that this workshop has been fruitful for you. As you know, I host workshops every week. So see you again next week. If you do not have any doubts, see you again next week. Thank you for joining.